case you're wondering about the way I walk, the way I need help, not a Joe Biden impersonator. I've got a degenerative nerve problem, so it's difficult for me to walk, but I can still trade. I trade every day. I was trading last night. David was just up here, and he was saying that you all, when you choose a broker, you need to choose carefully. And I can tell you right now that my relationship with EBC, we have chosen carefully. Okay, so I want to tell you about a day in my trading life that absolutely changed everything. Now, I have been trading since approximately 1967, quite actively, and when I came to this point in my life, it was 1982. It was 1982, that's the song. Okay, so what happened? Well, I was making some money. I was on the positive side. I was doing okay, but I wasn't doing great. So back in 1982, we were trading. All trades were executed through the floor on the Board of Trade, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And I can promise you that what you do not realize is how important good execution is, good trade execution. Now, I was using a group in Chicago that had a series of trading desks. And these were circular desks, and when I called an order, it would go to the desk, and they would have direct communication with the floor so that I could get my fill right away. So because I traded a lot, trading significant numbers, they put me on what was called the A desk. So I decided it was worth my money, it was worth spending some money to go to Chicago, where these folks were on the A desk, go meet them and take them out. Trade execution, trade execution, trade execution is so important. So I go to Chicago, I take these guys all out. We didn't bother with dinner, we went straight to a bar. So, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but when you go out drinking with a group of guys, it's always the third drink. That's when everybody starts having fun, people get loose, they say what's on their mind, it gets out. So I've got 6 guys sitting on a table. They're all happy, right? Because I'm paying the bill. And so one of the guys says, wow, soybeans got really overbought today. Another guy says, yeah, the S&P got really oversold. Somebody else comes up and says, yeah, gold got really overbought. So I'm sitting there listening to these guys and I'm going, yeah. And finally I said, well, wouldn't it be a good idea if we knew where beans would be overbought tomorrow, where gold would be overbought tomorrow, where the S&P would be oversold tomorrow? Wouldn't that be a good idea? So all of a sudden the table gets quiet. Nobody says anything. And then finally one guy, he says, how the hell are you going to do that? So I didn't know, I had no idea, but back in Southern California where I was living, I had a friend who was a physicist. I want to know where the S&P would be oversold tomorrow. Can you do it? So George crawls in his hole in a desk and he starts going to work, and 2 days later he comes out. So George says, Joe, I've developed a couple of parametric equations and I can predict tomorrow where beans will be overbought, gold will be overbought. I can do this. Let me show you. I said, look, I'm an engineer, right? But I'm not going to understand it anyway. So if you can do it, let's make a software program. So we're going to have these numbers to work on tomorrow. Now, some of you might remember Windows 95. Okay, we were using UX10 machines that used an operating system that was called CPM. Had 12-inch screens and they were all green. I didn't care. I knew where beans were going to be overbought tomorrow. I didn't care. That's all. I just wanted that number. So what had happened was we developed leading indicator. A leading indicator we knew where support and resistance would manifest a day ahead of time. And if we had an hourly chart, we knew where overbought and oversold were an hour ahead of time. 5-minute chart, we knew where overbought and oversold 5 minutes ahead of time. Do you realize how important this was? This was 42 years ago, and still the industry does not teach leading indicators. We do, they don't. So let's fast forward to 1985. Fast forward. Okay, a friend of mine was using this weird stuff called Fibonacci analysis. What the hell is that? So he had a few hard days, and he said, Joe, why don't you come up and for so many dollars, I'll be happy to show you what I'm doing. I said, okay, sounds good to me, and I went up there, gave him a little money, and he showed me. So what he showed me was generic Fibonacci analysis. So I went to work for 2 years, and I developed what is now called DiNapoli. It is a much more advanced form of Fibonacci work, and it is leading. It's leading. On a monthly chart, you can get out front 2 or 3 months. On a daily chart, you can get out front 4 or 5 days, and the numbers are incredible. So now I have 2 leading indicators. What do I do? Now, obviously I was making some money. Okay, so what do I do with that money? I get my ass back to Chicago as fast as I can. I find my own people and I put them on the floor of the exchange so I can call directly to them. Execution. You gotta realize how important execution is. Okay, so things are going good. All right, now, fast forward to 2003. Okay, I'm in Moscow, right? And I'm doing a presentation in Moscow to a group of traders. And one of the traders, after my presentation, comes up to me and he says, oh my God, thank you, Joe, Mr. DiNapoli, thank you so much. You have changed my life. I'm now making money. I love what you do. Okay. It's true. Okay, so this guy says, Joe, I have made the MACD, who was developed by Daryl Appel, who I knew personally. I have made the MACD leading. So now the MACD is a good indicator, but this guy's telling me he made it leading. That's blowing my mind. So I get back to Bangkok or America, wherever I was, and he sends me a little software program, and it's got the MACD transformed into what we call the MACD predictor, is leading. Now we have not 1, not 2, we have 3 leading indicators. Now if you see any of my charts on the internet or anywhere else, you're going to see 2 indicators on them. You're going to see the MACD predictor and you're going to see DiNapoli. What it does is it gets your ass out in front of the market. So that day back in 1982, when I thought about a leading indicator and they didn't exist, that changed my life. Maybe today, some will think, wow, maybe I should look into this leading indicator stuff. Maybe that's a good idea. So, quality mentorship, which you do, quality execution, which is what EBC does, you put them together, and you got a real shot at this. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all the greatest success.
ก็ขอบคุณทุกคนนะแล้วก็ขอบคุณทุกคนที่การเกิด
Thank you very much, Mr. Joe DiNapoli.